Hey everybody, straight from Bullshit Corner. Today's video is going to be installing the 12voltguy's end cab winch controls. He gives you some basic instructions on how to install it, but with most winches everything's going to be set up differently. On mine, I'm going to hook it up to a Smitty built 8,000 pound winch. So obviously if you have a Warren winch or a Super winch or anything else, it's going to be slightly different. If you are buying the end cab winch controls from the 12voltguy, I highly recommend that you get the wiring kit with it as well. It'll save you time and headache from creating your own. So in my Jeep itself, I'm going to locate it on the trim panel right below where your steering wheel is. I already have it marked out right there, and it comes with a template that you trace it out with. So I'm going to go and cut this out. It is going to be a little tricky because on the back side you got the grill right here that kind of adds strength to that piece. So it's going to be a little bit difficult. Probably most likely going to drill some four large holes in the corner. Use a little tiny zip disc to cut it out, and then use a die grinder or a Dremel to smooth it out after that. And then we can go about drilling it, mounting it, and that part will be done except for running the wires and the wiring. Alright, once you're done, it should look something like that depending on how you're going to mount it. And behind on the honeycomb section, if you're a perfectionist, you'll want to clean it up a lot nicer. Myself, I don't really give a shit. It's irrelevant to me how it looks behind, but from the front view, got your switch on, off, in, out. Alright, I got the cover exposed in the Smitty built winch, and all your solenoids I guess would be inside here, unless that's one big solenoid, I don't know. But okay, on my digital meter here, I got some sunshine on, there's some glare. It's 12.17 DC volts. So from the winch control, there's only 3 wires. One's going to be a positive wire, because once you give, whichever way you move that selector switch either in and out, is going to give power to either one of these other 2 wires, which is going to move the switch. So now we got our in is either going to be green or blue. So now I'm going to switch the selector and see. Okay, let me pull this back out. So when I back it out, it says I was reading 170 millivolts. Remember that, millivolts. And then when I go in, I got 9.7 volts. So the blue wire is the in. Yeah, blue wire's in, and the green and yellow stripe is out. So I got the top cover pulled off here, in and out, so we're going to have to splice that wire. And these were pre-made for another type of winch, so I'm going to cut those off, and we're going to re-splice those as well, and we're going to solder them in place using my favorite soldering gun that went missing in the Jeep for 6 months. I got my ground connected to there, that's where the other grounds are, and it connects underneath to the bottom of the motor. And these are my in and outs. I connected them into the main wiring harness and taped them up. So now we got to run this cable inside the cab and then finish hooking her up. Alright, I ran my wire down through here, up along the side of the rad, underneath here, into the cab and the rubber mount, and you get way more than enough wire. So I'm gonna connect all this to that panel now. And the best thing about it, you got 2 wires in and out, so if you screw it up and it's backwards, you just switch the in and the out wires. That's it. You don't have to get stressed out about that. So I'm gonna piece this together and try her out. Alright, I know it's going to be kind of hard to see, but I hooked up the power wire to the 12 volt auxiliary plug-in. It's the pink and white wire, pink and something anyways. it's off the power outlet plug right there. So that's where I plugged into. So I'm going to plug this back in and then test for power at that panel before we fire it up. So I got my test meter on where the 12 volt power supply is. That's full-time power. So I should have 12 volts right there. So now if I go like this, flick that on, right? Now if I hit this button, you should be able to hear the winch. Just like that. Alright, the winch cable's almost in, so if I hit the in button, it should go all the way in. I think it's in. I think I heard it click. Yeah. And if I hit the out button, it should start to retract. You can't go too hard. See? There we go. I wired her up right. So there's where I mounted it in my Jeep, right down there. I mean, you could mount that switch anywhere you want. This is the spot that I located it at. So it's powered up. There you go. Almost 8 o'clock and that's another project done. Drinking the water. It's fucking hot out. So, in your instructions, you're gonna get a card like this. And it may look kind of confusing. I actually didn't follow this at all. What I did is I used my multimeter here, and as you saw in the video, when I removed the solenoid cover, there's one power wire going in and then 2 wires coming out that didn't have power. So at that point it's pretty obvious that one is in, one is out. So you really can't screw that up. So then with the multimeter, I hooked it up and I hit the in button and I saw which one was giving me approximately about 12 volts constant power, and I was holding in the switch, and that's how I determined which is my in and out, and then ran it to the back. Like, there's only 2 wires, so if you screw it up like I said earlier, you can reverse those wires and everything will be fine. But it's a pretty simple project. Actually, it looks really nice too. I'm really happy with it. So the next thing I'm going to do is hook up the remote control winch, and then I can have remote control and use it that way. That's going to be a separate video, but I'm going to leave it at that. I got to go get something to eat. I've been plugging away at this for a few hours. Probably looking at about a couple hours to install it. I think it took me like 2.5 with like filming and talking on the phone, text messaging, all that crap. But if you have any other questions or comments, post them below. Otherwise, thanks for watching.